Welcome back. This crazy ride, it's been kind of exactly that. It's been a crazy ride the last several months. What's going on? This is sort of we're going to call this crazy ride episode 7, and it's kind of got a theme. The theme is new studio, but it's a reboot. It's a reboot for me. It's a reboot for this channel, and it's a reboot for other stuff as well. But yeah, so I guess it's been a while. Pardon me. It's been a while since I've recorded anything. We did a podcast. Ooh, it's been the last one I published. It looks like it was March 29th. That's actually not, but the last one I have published, it's still available for public consumption, was done March 29th. So we were into the COVID-19 shutdown then, and Anna and I did a podcast. We did do another one shortly after. So that one we did in my closet. Well, not my closet, but in the walk-in closet in our master bedroom. And I found that the sound was pretty good. So instead of being down in the breezeway, and if you've never listened, the breezeway is a giant room in our home where you sort of come in, and it's a 4-level split. So you come in the front door, and if you look straight ahead, you could see down to my desk from the front door. So it was a busy spot. You could see my desk, front door. To my right was an open railway, and the kitchen. Maybe I'll take a picture from there and add it just for effect, just to see, you can see where I was for the first several recordings of my podcast, and maybe you'll understand why I needed to move. But anyway, so to my right was kitchen railings, and not even a wall, well, a half wall, I guess, 3-foot wall, and then railings and into the kitchen. To the left was the giant room. It was our old living room, which we call the library or the breezeway. And on the other side of a paper wall was a tattoo studio, so that was busy. It is a very busy studio, so there's always noises and sounds coming there. And we do have 2 dogs, so the dogs were constantly padding around. And at the time of my studio being downstairs in the breezeway, we also had 2 blue-fronted Amazons. I don't know, some kind of Amazon parrot. Anyways, one of them was my twatty sister Tika, and then we picked up another one to try and. The goal was to try and calm Tika down with, give her some company and give her something to do, which didn't work. It just actually made her worse. So I had Tika on my right-hand side. Her cage was literally, less than 6 feet away from me, and she liked to be heard. I say liked. I don't have to hear her anymore. I'm upstairs. Number 1. Number 2, thankfully for my mental health, we have a friend, or Kristen has a friend who has wanted a parrot her whole life, and the parrot went there in exchange. Well, it is a trial run, but we haven't heard much from them, so we think that they like Tika, which is really great for me because it lets me keep my sanity. She has a knack for getting under my skin. She will yell and yell and yell and scream and squawk for no reason, sometimes for hours, and it just gets under my skin, and it literally, I think sometimes felt like she was going to give me a stroke, because there's nothing you can do to get away from it. You can hear it through the whole house. You can go and hide and put headphones on in another room, and you still hear her squawking. So no more Tika up here. I've moved this room. You can sort of see it. It's not an ideal studio. I don't have any treatments on the walls yet. So like in the breezeway, all of our walls in this home, like the one behind me, are oak, or the majority of them are oak paneling. That room that I was in, I believe all of the walls are oak paneling. So down there, it wasn't ideal for a studio either. Um, there was no sound deadening in there. Hardwood floors, hardwood walls, and then all the extra stuff. So if anything else, just being in this room will be a huge improvement, even without currently having any treatment on the walls. In front of me, I have, pardon me, I have a sort of a wall of monitors. It's almost 6 feet across, and well, I think my main screen in front of me is 50 inches, and then I have two 27-inch LCD panels or LED panels turned on their sides, so it's like one giant screen divided by three, and yeah, it's massive, which is why I have all this light coming from the front into my face, as you can see. Above me, I had to mellow down the light. I have an LED light up there, and I actually put some dark paper over the majority of the light just to tone it down. It's just, it is far too bright in here. It's like a summer day all of the time with that light on. So anyways, new studio. It's wonderful. This is my new old office before I moved to the Breezeway, when we decided that maybe we needed a guest room, which we don't, because we rarely have people stay over, and if they do, we still have a futon, we have couches, we have lots of room for people to sleep. It's just not going to be in this room. So like I said, this used to be my office before. I do need to do some wall treatments and clean it up just a little bit for the sound. Hopefully it sounds good. I'm actually using more simple audio gear now. This is my, you can see here, my Rode Pod mic, which is a great microphone. I've done some testing against some of the other mics that I have, and I think this one is my favorite for my voice. So I'm basically recording raw right now. I'm not using my Rodecaster Pro. I'm recording raw into a Zoom H5 recorder. And I just want to see how it sounds in this room without any compression. So taking away the Rodecaster Pro, it does all that for me. It does the noise gate, it does compression, it does the big bottom stuff. There's a whole bunch of sound that is processed live. This way, I just want to do this little video, this little podcast with the Rode Pod mic and the Zoom H5. Just those two, and I want to see how it sounds. I did do a little test the other day with a different microphone, and I found that I had some pretty harsh P's, so I was popping quite a bit. Hopefully that's not the case with this microphone, because I'll have to put a pop filter back on it, and I don't really want to do that. It just takes up a lot more space. We'll see. So why haven't I been around? I mean, I did, like I said, I talked about a little bit. We did Anatox Apocalypse Part 2, where we touched on what's happening in the world with coronavirus and all the craziness, and it says it was 39 minutes. I don't remember it being that long. It seemed to me it was just a short little episode that we did. Pardon me, Life calls, coffee, So we did Anatox Apocalypse, and as I said, we did that in the missus's walk-in closet in the bedroom, and I found that the sound was really good on that. And then I set up with a friend who's a very interesting person. She's an archaeologist and kind of a career student, and just someone who knows a lot about a lot. And I wanted to get her take on what is going on with coronavirus and among other things. And so we did a podcast, and it was late getting started. I actually had to delay. It was an arranged time that we were going to do this, and she wasn't coming. So we were going to set up the studio and then have her call in through the Rodecaster Pro and through USB in from one of my phones or a tablet. I can't remember. No matter. We recorded the podcast and it was a complete disaster. We had technical issues from start to finish. She couldn't hear Anna. Anna could not hear her. There were times when she could not hear me for whatever reason. I had two high quality microphones running that day. And I did have it posted for a while, and it was actually called remote caller debacle, I believe. And I kept it up for a while, and I listened to it. I listened to it once. I thought, well, it's okay. I mean, I can learn from my mistakes, which was sort of the point. It was our very first try at a remote caller with the Rodecaster Pro. Anyways, it was a horrible failure, and I did post it. So if anyone saw it and then wondered why it's now gone, that is why. It had nothing to do with my guests. The content that we planned to talk about, which I don't believe we ever did. It was sort of maybe a 35, 40 minute just nonsense, just technical issue after technical issue. And I decided that it was too embarrassing to keep up. If you listen to that and decide that you never want to hear a podcast again from this channel, because it was a comedy of errors on my part. Like I said, it had nothing to do with my guest. She's very interesting. She's one of my oldest friends, actually, and I hope to have her on, maybe in the studio, to avoid the problems next time. But so that's what happened there. That would have been the last time I did or even attempted a podcast. So that's several months. What's been going on? Obviously, coronavirus has been the thing that has most affected my life. But there's other things. Life, coronavirus itself, life, my work, or what I used to do for work, which is no more. The provincial and federal governments have pretty much made what I do for work non-existent. So I've been home. I've been preoccupied. I've been actually I have been working on a new startup. And so that's where I've been. There's been no time for creating podcasts, let alone listening to them. I'm a faithful Joe Rogan follower, and I listen to his podcast pretty much every day normally. But in the last several months, I've only had a chance, or the inkling anyways, to listen to a handful of podcasts. And in the last week or so has just started to come around, where I have the new company, all of my ducks in a row. I have some advertising, and that's good to go, and hopefully it'll take off. Right now I'm just doing marketing and putting myself out there, and hopefully will gain some clients. But in the meantime, now I have some time to sit down and work on my webpage and my podcast, which I've been truly missing. I have big plans for this podcast. I have still so much lined up, even in the next days and weeks. I have so many ideas. I have 2 scripts that I have fully written out already, as well as some 3 and 4. So I have this one and a next one that are already written, and I'm working on my 3rd and 4th ones, and I'm trying to line up some guests for those. So creating podcasts, it's coming. I've updated my website a little bit. I put in there sometime around February or March, maybe, that the podcast was in full swing, and it was for a few episodes, and then the big tank in the economy and the world and everything else that's going on, the fear and the kids at home and the noisy animals, and just all piled on. And I have no creativity, or had no creativity. I had no time. I had no. I think it was a little depressing, all in all. Being home for so many months, I believe I was already depressed when coronavirus hit. In fact, I know I was. I was seeking treatment. I have the only pill I ever take or have ever had to take is for a thyroid condition. And I was working with a new doctor, to try and level myself out with the Synthroid first, before treating my depression with other things. So I was just starting to come out of my fog when all of this hit, and then everything's gone to shit, and here we are. So we're back. Today is the 13th of September. This is probably my third attempt to get something down. Always someone walks in the middle of a recording, or the other day someone just walked into the house and started yelling. It was kind of funny because I was probably halfway through my podcast, and I'm not really into editing. I like to do these and then normalize my audio and send it. I'm not really one into rehearsing and dicking around too much. Yes, I write scripts. No, I don't read it from my screen. It's right there in front of me. And for what we've talked about in the last however many minutes, 17 minutes almost, I have 2 lines of text for that. So it's not like it's actually scripted. It's an idea board. So like I said, I kind of want to keep it organic, and I don't want to edit. So when that person came into my home and started yelling and, is anyone home? I kind of lost it there, and I actually stopped recording and didn't bother to record again. So here's attempt number, I'm going to call it attempt 3 for episode 7. So yeah, welcome to the new studio. And, like I said, no time for listening to podcasts except for the last week or 10 days. I started to listen to Joe Rogan again. I've also been listening a little bit to the Office Ladies podcast with Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey from the Office TV show, The Office, the American version. And they do a podcast, and they bring up, I believe they're going to do it for every episode of The Office ever produced. That was my understanding anyways. I've only listened to 3 or 4 full episodes of theirs, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. If you are an Office fan, I highly recommend it. It's called The Office Ladies. And it's starring Angela Kinsey and Jenna Fisher. Pardon me. Where they basically dissect scene by scene each show. And I've listened to Casino Night. I've listened to Booze Cruise, maybe. I don't know. No, maybe not Booze Cruise. No. Pardon me. Dwally. There have been a few anyways that I've listened to. And it's, for a fan of The Office, it's highly entertaining. I can't recommend it enough. For me, I'm like probably one of the biggest Office fans ever. And it's been maybe 10 or 11 years since I discovered The Office. I believe I've watched it every day, or pretty much every day of the last 10 to 11 years. And it's something I fall asleep to on most nights. I will put it on my tablet or on the TV if it's agreeable. And because it's something I don't have to watch, I can put on an episode, and it's a comfort thing too. I don't know. People listen to music before bed. I put on The Office. I don't need to watch it. I can take off my glasses, roll over on away from the TV and just listen, and I can actually see it like it's happening right in front of me. I don't need to watch the show to know what's happening. So if you get a chance, check that one out. I've also been listening to Rogan a little bit lately. I believe, what was the first one I listened to? It's funny because he just moved to Austin, and his first episode in Austin, I believe, was published on the 9th of September, so that's 4 days ago now. And excuse me. 4 days ago, and he had Adam Curry on. That was one of the last episodes I listened to of Joe Rogan back in, let's say March or April. I'm not sure. Maybe even May. He had Adam Curry on. Adam is known as the Podfather, sort of the creator of podcasting. He was a VJ at MTV, and then I believe he was sort of at MTV with the inception of the internet, and he took MTV from, at least it's my understanding, and from the podcast that he did with Rogan back in the spring. He took that podcast, he took that MTV in the direction of the internet and did all their email and online stuff, got them online. And then he started some sort of a podcast back in the day now. Now he's making a return, I believe. I think he has a podcast called No Agenda. I am going to check that out. Anyways, he was on Joe Rogan on the 9th for Joe's first show in Austin. He's made the move from LA to Austin, and he's also in a new studio. So he's got this crazy, let's have a look here. He's got this crazy, got some pictures. He's got this crazy studio. It almost looks like the inside of a luxury jetliner. He's got it set up. Here we go. So that's sort of what his studio looks like, his new studio. If you've ever seen Joe Rogan on YouTube, you'll remember his old studio, which was really cool. He had a whole man cave. He had some warehouse in LA. Anyways, this is his new studio. It's pretty cool. It's really neat. Not really for me. I mean, it's bigger than the room I'm in, so I shouldn't say I would be claustrophobic, but just the way it's built and with the colors and things, I don't know if I could be creative there, but it's a really cool space. And so I watched his first episode with Adam Curry, and I'm pretty sure they were drunk, really drunk and stoned for at least an hour and 6 minutes. Sort of. Joe came around, but then they continued drinking. I haven't actually watched the whole thing. It looks like I'm at 2 hours and 26 minutes right now. I've been watching it anytime I have a little bit of free time, or when I go for a walk, I'll listen to it. But I've still got over an hour, or just under an hour, pardon me, to listen. It's been an interesting episode. They're talking about what's happening. Adam Curry, not really sure where he sits politically. It seems like he's more of a centrist. Joe's a little bit to the left. And there's been some talk of almost conspiracies, but not really. It's been an interesting podcast. Adam has alluded a few times to things like universal basic income, which he's probably 100% right. It's something that's in the works in the United States and up here in Canada. So we have that. I listened to a bit of Mike Tyson last week. That might have been my first recent one. That was before he made the move. Listened to Rob Lowe a few weeks ago. I was doing some work out in the garage, building something or cleaning. I was building a trailer. That's what I was doing. And I listened to the entire Rob Lowe episode, which was really great. It was kind of refreshing to hear, you, I don't know much about Rob Lowe, but I know him from Parks and Rec. It's nice to know that he's a little bit that guy, but he's also a foul mouthed dude who's actually pretty funny. And he's a really interesting guy. They had fun. Yeah, I listened to Mike Tyson a little bit. And the only other episode that I've listened to lately is the one with Tim Dillon that was a week or two ago, maybe. At least that's when I listened to it. I listened to the full episode. And again, Tim is probably more of a center right kind of guy. And it's always fun to listen to those episodes because they have real conversations without getting angry, but it's fun to hear different viewpoints. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with podcasting. It's been fun. I really like. I was worried that Rogan was, with his move to Spotify. What did he sign? $100 million deal or something with Spotify? I was worried that it was going to be subscription only. So far, as far as I know, so far anyways, I haven't looked into it too much, but I don't believe you need to be a Spotify premium member to listen to the show. So far, all of his shows have still been on YouTube, which is a little shocking to me. I thought he was going to be exclusive to Spotify. So it's really excellent. It's good news for me that I don't have to have another subscription at current anyways. I will pay for Joe Rogan, but I'm happier if it's free for now, especially been out of work for so long. Any more pictures of his studio? It doesn't really look like it. Pretty cool. Anyways, check it out. The new show. Oh, looks a little, like I said, I think they were pretty loaded. I don't know if they moved into the studio that day and were drinking all day. Maybe Joe paid Adam with beer, and there were 12 or 14 beers in. Who knows? Anyways, so far it's been a good show. It's been interesting. Little bit of drunken shenanigans, which is kind of fun. I used to listen to, I don't know, probably a lot of fans. Probably if you're a fan, you're not listening to my show anyways. My show's pretty small currently. I used to listen to True Crime Garage quite a bit. But I've kind of put it on the back burner. I was not a big fan of The Captain. I don't know if you listen to it. The Captain had some pretty off the wall theories, and he liked to share them in every single episode. And the other thing about True Crime Garage, they had many, many, many interesting cases. I've probably listened to 40 or 50 of their episodes, and I found that I was getting more and more annoyed with each episode, especially with the Captain, but it was also the insincerity of the commercials. Reading the copy, there was no charisma, anything at all. So reading the copy for their advertisers, and it just seemed so disingenuous when they were speaking of the products they were trying to sell. It really seemed like an insult to people's intelligence. So there's that, the Captain and his theories, and the thing that bothered me most, like I said, I like the content, but what bothered me most of their episodes were unsolved. So there's no closure. You listen to 2 or 4 hours of show, because several of them are in multi parts, and then at the end there's no resolution. So I got a little bit old. I had to, at least for now, I had to stop listening. So yeah, what else? We got the new studio. So back to my thing that I've got going on. Sorry, completely zoned out. I was reading. So coming up soon, I have some more local. The next show is more of a local content show. I want to see if I can get some local interest in my show. So I'm doing it's almost like a news piece. Not really. But it has a local theme. So, where I'm actually going out and shooting some video and some audio of a city near me where things have gone a little crazy before and after COVID. I live in Alberta, Canada. Things here have been on the decline now for 5 years. Used to be the richest province in Canada, and now we're what they call have not province. The energy industry, for many reasons, is has declined drastically, and there the future's pretty bleak here. And in the city, which I'm going to be speaking about in my next podcast, it's really things have gone really downhill, and I just want to touch on that a little bit. As well, I've got some guests coming up, some call in, hopefully, as well as some in studio guests. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. I am back. I'm 100% dedicated getting this thing going and flourishing and having interesting and fun and awesome content. And stick around, come back, and have a listen again. Also, probably have a mystery snack show in the near future. So, thanks for having a listen. Talk later.